And I guess it'll be my turn to shake the spice up here. You know who I blame for getting those people out and that level of sophistication is the fucking publishers, because they literally held on to everything. They kept everything for themselves. There was now it angers me so fucking much that now Valorant is like, oh, by the way, there's no franchise fee. Like, yeah, we'll just let you in.
We'll just pay you.
And by the way, we're gonna be doing revenue splits with the teams. Yeah, like shit that we asked for in the fucking LCS for years.
Basically, what I said they should have argued for at the beginning. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Like where the fuck was this? Like now they like Riot.
Evan, here's the thing about the Valorant partnerships. It all goes back to the fact that the publishers have been hiding the real revenue of esports. They have
which is their
data.
Fucking skin sales. Yeah.
Yes, they have data surrounding their microtransactions that they should, even though you can't always pin one-to-one, right? It's a marketing exercise. So they can deny that this revenue exists because they can't definitively say that esports is selling skins. They can't.
Yeah, it's a marketing.
They can do things. Here's what they can do. They can show that when a famous player plays a skin at the League of Legends World Championship, and then that skin sales spikes above normal for the next week afterwards, it's probably pretty clear where the source of that revenue is coming from, right? But the teams are never allowed to know this information. No. It is kept in tightly locked boxes at the developers. I have heard, and I haven't talked about this before, and I have to be very careful about how I say this so I don't burn a source. So how can I say this? It is not recent information. It is not information from it is from the very early days, early days of the LCS at Riot, I would say. So within the first few seasons, I have heard that Riot at that point in time had tied 25% of their revenue to esports. I don't know how true that is, but that has been told to me by people who I think would know that information.
Well, bro, I mean, look, like at the time that we're spending millions of dollars upkeeping players, babysitting for Riot, and they're paying us a pittance of that, they're making millions of dollars off Star Guardian Lux. I'm in the corner of CLG. Please, sir, please, can I have a pittance? Can I have one? And they're like, you know what they say to me? Can we make a skin? Can we have CLG in there for a little bit? Guess what? No, we're not sure you're going to be in the LCS forever. We can't do that.
Yeah,
and then they turn around on Valorant. They turn around on Valorant, and they're like, oh, by the way, skin sales. By the way, revenue share. By the way, fuck you, dude. You just fucked up with this whole thing, and now you're going to come here and tell us this? Like, what? What is it that pisses me off so fucking much?
Here's the thing, Devin. They had you buy the balls on your $25,000 limitation of liability contract. And here's the thing. They make 100% of the money when they sell Star Guardian Lux.
Yeah,
of
course.
When Bjergsen plays Star Guardian Lux, they make 100% of the money. If they make a CLG or a TSM skin, they don't make 100% of the money anymore. So why would they make it?
But then they go back and they do that on Valorant. That's what I don't understand.
They are now because here's the thing. Guys, you just have to put this in your brain. If esports was so unprofitable for publishers and for Riot, why would they double down with Valorant now? Why would they say, we want to select, handpick our teams, and remember, it's not a franchise, it's a partnership. They can get relegated, but we are going to give you guys a systemic advantage through fees, through rev share, and we're going to pay you. And by the way, as I said before, right now, the LCS teams are given $2 million a year approximately in rev share. Okay,
Jensen's contract is fucking $4 million.
So here's the thing. Let's bridge into that because
one player. Like, what the fuck do we do with that, man? It's like the publishers. It's all the publishers. They take everything. They're Galactus. They fucking consume, and nothing satiates their endless hunger.
Yeah, exactly. But before we get into this, dude, that's the whole problem. Is that no one knows how much money the publishers are actually tying to their esports efforts. But we know it must be good because Riot would not have done it in Valorant otherwise, and we wouldn't see all these publishers so hot to
Yeah,
get into
I
esports.
actually disagree. I don't think they're doing what you think they're doing in Valorant. You think they've learned some kind of lesson. This is Riot Games. They don't learn shit. They're never going to change. They knew everything on the day they knew it until their mind changed, and then they knew that all along, and they retcon history. Like, basically, they're writing the 10 Commandments every fucking year and telling you there was never any other 10 Commandments.
Why the
except
change?
Right. Well, so here, this is is what I think is going on.
I actually don't know. Like, I'm asking you.
It's not a change. It's not a change. It's an illusion. It's a mirage, like so much in esports, right? Because what they're actually doing, in my opinion, is very similar to what they did in the early days. Remember when Riot Games descended from the holy mountain full of great ideas, all they did was take a freemium model that was super popular in Asia and brought it to the West using banking money. You know, that was all they really did. But of course, they invented esports in 2009. We were there. We remember. So they came down from the holy mountain and they said to everybody, "Hey, like, do you like shitty MOBAs? Like, do you like this badly coded game? Here you go, have it for free. Here's a red T-shirt, la la la." And it was skipping around all of the lands, no matter how small, how local, and everyone went, "Wow, these Riot Games people are cool." And so they all made a beeline to it. They got all the casters to come in. Remember, like from established games, like guys like Joe Miller and D-Man, you know, legends, and they all come over and suddenly they're casting it and everyone's streaming it and they're giving out skins and it grows and it grows and it grows. And then they even go to tournament organizers. "Hey, DreamHack, want to run a tournament? Hey, like, you know, IGL, want to run a tournament? You know, MLG, do you want to run a tournament?" They're all running these tournaments. And then they go, "Right, we're about ready for a fucking franchise league now. Shut it down. We might let you have a road show. IEM, you can have a road show. But that's it. Everyone else, get the fuck off our game. It was ours the whole time. Thank you very much." That's what they're doing again with Valorant. It's just a slight twist on a classic Riot ploy. These people are essentially building up their loss leader esports venture because it creates an aspirational element to play the game. The fundamental kernel at the heart of every competitive game is, I gotta believe when I install it, I can go fucking pro maybe one day. That's how you keep the Zoomers juiced in. And so they play the game over and over and over and over and over again. You know, maybe some go pro, most don't. There's leagues, there's ladders, there's badges. It's all bullshit. Who gives a fuck? Eventually, somewhere in that, you buy your skin with your mother's credit card, you know, and it's like, okay, right, now it was all worth it for Riot because that happens a million times over.
Richard,
it's the same thing. It's the same thing, I think.
Why do they have to do that now with the skins? I was sharing it with teams, and particularly why drop the franchise fee? What allows them to do that now? Because you know, if they could, they could charge that 10 million, they would fucking do it.
Yeah.
Like that's
they
not
can't. No one's buying into a franchise league ever again.
It's
Activision Blizzard fucked that forever. Like,
okay, yeah,
that's gone. Now it's partnered leagues. They've looked though, like, so if I'm Riot Games and I'm an executive at Riot, right? I was going to make a terrible joke there, but let's keep it civil.
And you're partying on employees.
Anyway, I wipe my dick off.
Yeah, go on. I was there. I was farting in someone's face. But anyway, so yeah, right. If I'm a Riot Games executive and I'm looking at data points about what I use as a successful esports model, and I look over at what Activision Blizzard did, and then I look over at what Blast and ESL have done, which, by the way, you know, we're talking about an open circuit in Counter-Strike. That's been an open circuit for years. Duncan knows it. You know, you were on point. It's like you can't even get into these leagues. They pretend there's qualifiers, but it's a qualifier for a regional qualifier, and you can't even make enough points to get into the tournaments. It's a closed circuit. Mm-hmm. So if I'm looking at what those partnered leagues are doing, where you come in, it's just a little brown envelope that slides across the desk, and I get all of the benefits and all the commerciality, and I can guarantee that my teams are playing top teams over and over again, and we're going to have like stable viewership. I'm obviously going to take that. Oh, no one's paying 10 mil to get into a franchise league in esports ever again. So that's point number one. And point number two, I just think when you have big brands, because that's the other thing, we've got to stop thinking about orgs. It's like the way you think, Devin, about esports orgs is on point. They're agencies. They're receptacle for they're a receptacle for talent and influencers, and they're selling shit, whether it's, you know, a logo on a shirt or something else. And so anyway, if I want to get people to play this like new game, this new hot game, that's like, just come out. Well, what's the best way to do it? And a lot of kids engage with esports orgs. We've got influencer orgs now, the great crossover that's coming in, which I'm sure we'll get into. Mm-hmm. That's going to be the ultimate epicenter of everything. And so Riot are probably already looking like, yeah, it's okay. We won't have an optic in because we've looked at the data and it doesn't quite work, but we will have this brand, we will have this brand, and we will have that. And that's going to bring in a bunch of players because of that aspirational esports element for the hardcore player. And that's the key thing. The hardcore esports player will make multiple purchases over a lifetime. They value their account. They treasure it. They want to look back at like skins from 2014, skins of their favorite players, skins of their favorite team. They're not some casual player that can go out and play 50 fucking FPS games. So that's the value there. They're essentially the esports fan is the whale. That's
sure.
That's how I always thought about it, basically.
Bro.
But, go on.
Oh, but dude, I just got to say, like, the basic premise of business is like, okay, I make some money, I put it back into my business, and then the business makes more money. And like Riot completely ignored that for esports and just took all. You know what they did? They hired a fucking shitload of people. I have to tell you all the story, okay? Like, because I bet Monty remembers this. So back at the LCS, when you live in LA, you've got to live in LA. You've got to go every weekend they used to send these buses out. And the bus would be like some Russian guy driving it that you weren't sure was going to kill you or drive you to the correct destination. And they would fill all the players and the team owners and everybody into the bus, and they would drive you over to Santa Monica, and you would go play games. That's how they did this thing, okay? So at one time for CLG, I was sitting in the back of the green room, and my objective was to get my players back to my fucking house. And I shit you not, there were 11 fucking player managers that controlled this, with none of them having any agency over the actual decision ever. Nobody could tell me where the fucking bus was. And I'm like, why have you hired all these fucking people? None of them can do their job. None of them know their job. No one has no system of hierarchy whatsoever. It's just a fucking shit show. Spend your money back on like reinvesting in the teams, reinvesting in stuff that actually makes sense, and we might have had a real fucking league.
Right, let me jump in on this. I've got a few angles. Like, first of all, the last thing you said there, this is one area, if anyone's watched my content, like Some of the Insight, for long enough, I had this nailed years ago, guys, which is when Riot used to, because here's the way they used to do it, Devin. They didn't just pretend like, oh, esports is not related to our business. They had the goal to sell you the opposite. They would tell you, we lose money doing esports, which we always used to make the analogy. That would be like Nike saying, oh, I lose money making these sick commercials. And you go, don't you make all the money on the shoes? Hey, excuse me, what I do with selling shoes is unrelated to the advert I do. It's like everyone understands what a marketing budget is, you dickhead. And as you say there, the craziest thing is, here's one of the reasons, by the way, why the money never trickles down to the team orgs, to the players and everyone else. It just stays in the game devs' coffers. Because I'll tell you the one really negative thing about the esports industry no one ever talks about, but you've actually touched on it there, Devin, which is this, right? The game dev is actually the person who has the golden goose. They're just printing money. I've always said this about CSGO. Here's why you should have no hope that the CSGO devs care and will fundamentally change the game. Because in something like 2015, I remember reading a headline that said they'd made $2 billion revenue of fucking CSGO, a game that you barely have to update, has no massive. If that essentially means, guys, they make infinite money, therefore whatever they want to do, they're doing it already. There's no incentive making them. So in this scenario, right, the problem you have is these game devs could easily share. Like what you're talking about there, for 3 years on my shows, I've had team org owners basically say the one thing I want is, please game dev, just let me, like you said, let me make a skin where you get your cut of it, but I essentially am the barker, I'll sell it, I'll get all the, if you do that, everything can be, revenue will make sense for everyone. But here's the other reason why those game devs don't do it. Because mate, on the esports side of all of these game devs, because they think they have infinite money, they just hire 1 billion morons. They won't have like 3 execs, there'll be 50 execs to do what 3 execs are gonna do. You know this, dude, every big company, by the way, spoiler, here's a little gem for you. Companies like G4 were like that as well. They wouldn't just start with a few people. They'd hire everyone, and everyone gets a fucking and it's like, Oprah, you're getting an exec spot, you're getting a VP spot, so there's no money left. Like everyone's just a little fucking piggy on the teat, sucking away at that money, and there's never any for the teams. See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.